Nestled in a ridge of dunes in northeast Colorado, hidden away from the grids of highways and county roads, is one of the country's most unique courses, Ballyneal Golf Club. Opened in 2006 by brothers Rupert and Jim O'Neal, Ballyneal is Tom Doak's answer to Sandhills, the original inland sand dunes course in neighboring Nebraska. The design is all about gravity and unpredictability. The holes twist through valleys and around steep slopes of prairie and yucca, rolling over rumpled terrain towards some of the most joyful putting surfaces you'll ever see, where golf balls dip, dive, and careen the entire way. The personality of the course constantly shifts between feeling tight and wide open and sheltered and exposed. The design is perfect for matches because anything can happen at any moment, and no two rounds, no two shots are ever alike. This is every hole at Ballyneal Golf Club. One of Ballyneal's charms is that there are no formal tee markers, and groups peg it wherever they want. The back tees at the first are a worthy starting point to get the full effect of the diagonal drive across a basin of prairie. Missing left or running a tee shot through the fairway will cost a shot, and the portal bunkers short of the green are in play for long hitters. The smart option is often to club down and settle for a short iron approach into an elevated green where the contours step in stages toward the rear right. From the lower ribbon of tees at the par 4 second, Ballyneal's connection to Irish links golf is clear, with a blind tee shot up and over a dune providing only skyline aiming points. There's a welcome to Ballyneal moment as you crest the ridge and behold the waves of fairway that buck and pitch toward the green. Believe it or not, these landforms have been softened, or melted down as the designers say, to stop balls from rolling uncontrollably. Into the common wind, the firm turf and embankment on the right will help scoot long second shots onto a green that slides to the left with mysterious knobs and swales that intrude along the edges. Ballyneal's postage stamp third looks like it was born in this spot. The green is set in a bowl behind blowout bunkers with edges, like most greens here, that tie into the slopes of the surrounding dunes. These sideboards can be used to spin and carom balls toward different hole locations, and that can be especially useful when punching shots into the omnipresent wind. As you step from the cozy confines of the third green, get ready to have your mind blown. The view from the elevated tee on the par 5 fourth stretches endlessly across the Colorado plains. The fairway is 80 yards across, a necessity since drives seem to hang in the crosswinds, and the second half of the hole kicks off a loop around a quieter expanse of land, rolling toward an elevated putting surface with a false front. There's plenty of space around the large green and no reason to play conservatively. If your short game and lag putting are on point, you should walk away from number 4 with no worse than a 5. If there's such a thing as a subtle hole at Ballyneal, it's the par 3 fifth. The slightly uphill green was originally situated left of its current location, but moved to this more natural spot during construction. The surface is draped over a ridge that slips off the large bunker on the left, tapering to the front corner in one direction and toward the back right in the other. But the feature that catches the eye is the small pot bunker in front, a hazard Doak insisted be added that blocks easy bump and runs up the middle. Long here is better than short. Co-founder Jim O'Neal wanted plenty of half-par holes at Ballyneal, and Tom Doak delivered by finding the land for beasts like the brawny par 4.5 sixth that starts a head-spinning 3-hole run. The drive rises to a rumpled fairway that swats drives left and right. The second shot is also uphill to a semi-blind green, and good luck guessing what the ball will do once it hits the ground surrounding a majestic, escalating putting surface that collects 3 putts like a hunter collects pelts. The Irish prefix Bally refers to a place of origin or homestead rooted in the region's culture. The name Ballyneal, therefore, is place of the O'Neals. It also brings to mind some of the great courses of Ireland like Ballybunion and Ballyliffin that resonate buoyancy, liveliness, and visions of emerald fairways bouncing through grassy dunes. That sense of buoyancy was the feeling Doak and his shapers had each time they returned to Ballyneal for more stressful projects that required intense planning and engineering. For them, working in the sand of the Chop Hills was liberating, providing creative freedom and possibility. That sense of joy comes through in holes like the 7th, one of the world's great drivable par 4s. Here we duck back into the dunescape with a choice of hitting safely to a deep valley on the right or driving blindly over a bunker where a downslope will kick shots forward. The E green is unlike anything else, with 3 seesawing levels that eat into a sandhill on the right, and a left edge that curls up onto a steep slope that will feed balls toward different hole locations. GolfDigest named this the best 7th hole in America built since 2000. It's everything you need to know about Ballyneal in one small package. If you could reincarnate the spirit of Ballyneal's 7th hole into the body of a par 5, you'd get the 8th. It charges through the heart of the chop hills, riding across angry terrain that tries to detour balls at every turn. If drives can avoid Ballyneal's version of hell bunker on the right, the green is reachable in 2, especially if shots get past the bunker's short left, where everything kicks toward the green. The putting surface is another puzzle, with mounds and hollows that collect in some areas and push away in others, like the rolling terrain that surrounds it. The tee shot at the par 4 9th is uphill, and only the top of the hogsback fairway is visible. This makes for an uncomfortable drive, but Doak and his team embraced the blind elements the land gave them. To smooth out lines and set everything in frame wouldn't be true to Ballyneal's links roots. The landing zone tightens as it nears the green, so members often hit something less than driver, though if they fail to get up the hill, they'll also have an obscured shot into the green. In this case, the raised rim around the back and sides help guide offline shots onto the putting surface. The high tee at the 10th shows off another endless prairie view to the south, but it's the deep bunker on the right that players should be looking at. The best line is over the top of it or even just to the right, because the fairway, though enormous, tilts severely off a long centerline ridge. Only approach shots from the high side will have a view of the green, as anything slightly left of center will drift down into a bowl, leaving a blind and uphill second. The good news is that the green is relatively low and mellow, so it's possible to chase long, running shots onto the putting surface, using the ground around it to help. The 11th is a classic connector par 3 that makes use of the space between 10 green and 12 tee. It jumps from high point to high point, from tees cut into dunes to a cross valley green leveled into the foot of an opposing slope and surrounded by nasty pot bunkers and a severe dive on the left. Its orientation against the hillside made it the most challenging green to build at Ballyneal, and the multiple edits result in the calmest putting surface on the course, a relief given its exposure to the wind. The roiling fairway of the short par 4 12th can feel like playing golf on the surface of the ocean. Long hitters can take dead aim over the bunkers on the left and are left with a short pitch up to the green. But drives that don't stay left of the central spine will fall into depressions on the right, leaving another blind approach. After the previous 2 greens, you might think Doak has taken his foot off the gas, but the putting surface here, built by Brian Schneider, is as turbulent as the fairway, with hole locations that can leave kickin' birdies or impossible up and over putts. A large dune was melted down to create the fairway at the par 4.5 13th. It's nearly 100 yards across and creased by gullies, but the forward pot bunker and 3 larger hazards farther downfield tighten the landing area and can cause strategic fits in the different winds. To avoid an approach over a raised bunker next to the green, the ideal line is through the channel between the first small pit and the bunkers on the left. That sets up a long but straightforward shot into the slinky green, which spills off the surrounding slopes with a deep fold sliding off the back edge. Another perfectly placed pot bunker aggravates the tee shot at the short 14th, forcing a decision to push the drive past it, lay back, or swing away and hope for the best. It's tempting to look at the rumpled Ballyneal landscape and think that holes like the 14th were already sitting in the land just waiting to be discovered. But the designers often had to cut and mold the dunes to make the course look natural. The green site here, sitting above the fairway and rolling steeply off the right edge, didn't exist and was created by carving away the middle section of a long dune ridge. You just can't tell. From certain tee positions, the colossal 15th is like a par 3 version of an Alps hole, with much of the green hidden behind a tall sandhill on the left. The gap in the dunes showing the right half of the green is actually 40 yards short of the putting surface, and tee shots that just get through this window will bound forward into a wide amphitheater. The other option is to hit it high, directly over the dune, and then wait to see where the ball comes to rest in the swells and shallows of the 11,000 square foot Punch Bowl green. The third par 5 at Ballyneal is the toughest of the bunch, thanks to a demanding second shot. Playing up into a valley, the fairway is large but tries to kick all drives to the right as the hole bends the opposite direction. This leaves long second shots from uneven lies that either must carry over a Himalaya bunker on the right or through the pinch point if the tee shot can hug the left side. The green is one of the slopiest on the course, with rejecting front and right corner hole locations, so approaching with enough spin on the ball is critical to avoid long downhill putts that might roll back to the fairway. Dan Proctor, one of Bill Coore and Ben Crenshaw's primary assistants at Sandhills, spent almost a week on a dozer tamping down a high ridge that stood in the middle of the 17th fairway, blending out the steep contours to make this backbreaker par 4 playable. You can still see the peak that splits it like the corner of a racetrack, and big tee shots slung off the inside bank will pick up much needed yardage, especially downwind. Approach shots should air left, where a mound will also steer balls onto a multi-level green, one of Ballyneal's best, a miniature concoction of the bowls and spines and pockets found throughout the course. Ballyneal finishes at the far eastern edge of the property over a relatively mellow and open stretch of land. Some feel the 18th is anticlimactic, coming out of the dunes and the volatility of the 17th, but the designers liked the idea of leaving the horizon open with no fixed point to aim at, though new cottages beyond the green have become useful targets. Drive should still cling to the inside of the dogleg to shave yards, and shots into a wide green set against a backdrop of dunes need to favor the front and right side. The round will not end well if playing from above the hole. It's inevitable that Ballyneal was, and sometimes still is, compared to Sandhills, the original course built in an otherworldly sea of landlocked sand dunes. But beneath the obvious similarities, the two shine differently. Sandhills is broad, majestic, and stern. Ballyneal is puckish and playful, a trickster, the jester to the king. Its greatest trick is the ability to change and transform from one round to the next. As one member has said, "I've played Ballyneal 1,000 times, but I've never played it twice. What could be more enjoyable?" And that's the rub. Above all else, Ballyneal is a place of fun.